Hello everyone, welcome to the class of macroeconomics. In our previous class, we have discussed about the income method of measuring national income. Today, we will discuss expenditure method of measuring national income. To get national income in expenditure method, we add up the total final expenditure incurred on goods and services by all the economics units. An estimation of national income by expenditure method involves some step. Step number one, all the economic units which incur expenditure on final product are divided into four groups. Number one, household sector, two, government sector, three, producer sector, and four, rest of the world sector. These are the four economic units which incur expenditure on final product. So our first step is to identify this economic units incurring final expenditure. In step 2, we will see how these economic units are spending on different goods and services. This expenditure on goods and services in the economy are done mainly for the purposes of consumption or investment. Okay, your C plus I, consumption plus investment. And this expenditure are again categorized into four categories: private final consumption expenditure, government final consumption expenditure, gross domestic capital formation, net export. Net export is your export minus import. Okay, so your first private final consumption expenditure and government final consumption expenditure is an consumption expenditure, and your gross domestic capital formation and net export is your expenditure on investment. Okay, so gross domestic capital formation is your investment made in the domestic territory. Net export is an investment done with rest of the world. So if you add up C and I, we will get our final expenditure. Now we will explain all these four type of expenditure with all their component in details. First, private final consumption expenditure. This is an expenditure by household and non-profit institution serving household on the purchase of goods and services during an accounting year. Okay, so what is non-profit institution serving household? It is a non-profit institution which are not financed and controlled by government and which provide goods and services to household for free or at low price. Example includes churches, religious society, sports and other clubs, trade unions, and political parties. Okay, so the expenditure incurred by household and non-profit institutions serving household on the purchase of goods and services is your private final consumption expenditure. It consists of expenditure on non-durable goods like food, beverages, expenditure on durable goods, expenditure on services like transport, medical, and compensation of employees paid by non-profit institutions serving household. These are your private final consumption expenditure. Next, we have government final consumption expenditure. This is an expenditure on administration and defense. Okay, administration, defense, health, educations. All right, it includes purchase of goods and services in the domestic market by government, direct purchase from abroad by government from embassy, military bases, and consultant located abroad, compensation of employee paid by the government. Okay, these are your government final consumption expenditure. Next is gross domestic capital formation. Gross domestic capital formation is an investment expenditure done by private and government sector. Okay, so it includes gross domestic fixed capital formation and change in stock. So gross domestic fixed capital formation or GDFC FCF. It includes number A, gross business fixed investment. This is an investment on fixed assets like purchase of new plant, new machinery, new equipment. Okay. Number B, it includes expenditure on purchase or construction of new houses by the household. Number C, it includes expenditure on construction of flyover, road, bridges, etc. by the government. Okay, this is your GDFCF. Next, we have inventory investment or change in stock. What is this? This is an investment made on inventory stock, like purchase of raw material, purchase on semi-finished good. Okay, so expenditure incurred on inventory stock is your inventory investment, and it is your change in stock. So we know that the formula of change in stock is equal to closing stock minus opening stock, right? This is your change in stock formula. Okay. Now we know that if we add up GDFCF, gross domestic fixed capital formation, and inventory investment, we get gross domestic capital formation. Now there are three adjustments to find GDCF. Okay, we know this is number one. We already know this, that if we add gross domestic fixed capital formation and change in stock, we get gross domestic capital formation, right? But in case in the exam, instead of GDCF or GDFCF, if you find NDCF in the item, what are we going to do? Our ultimate goal should be converting it to, or to find out GDCF. Okay, so how can we find out from the value of NDCF? Is that we know that NDCF, net domestic capital formation, right? And we have to convert it into gross domestic capital formation. So this is net and this is your gross. So to convert net to gross, what we are going to do, we are going to add depreciation, right? So NDCF plus depreciation is your GDCF. Now let's assume that your value of GDCF is not given, GDFCF is not given, NDCF is also not given. Instead of all these three, the value of NDCF is given, net domestic fixed capital formation. What are we going to do? Like I have mentioned earlier, our ultimate goal is to find the value of GDCF, right? Or to convert it to GDCF. So we have to convert NDFCF to GDCF. To do that, we have to add change in stock and depreciation to your NDFCF to get GDCF. Okay, so these are your four adjustments. You have to remember this formula. The next one is, the last expenditure is net export. Net exports are the difference between value of goods and services exported to other countries and value of goods and services imported from other countries. That is, X is your export and M is your import. So export minus import is your net export. Step number 3 is to find final expenditure. That is your GDP at MP. To find GDP at MP, what we are going to do, we are going to add up private final consumption expenditure, government final consumption expenditure, and gross domestic capital formation and your net export to get your GDP at MP or final expenditure. Okay. After finding GDP at MP, our next step is to find out domestic income. To find out domestic income, what we are going to do, we are going to subtract depreciation, because to convert from gross to net, we have to subtract depreciation, right? And to convert from MP to FC, we have to subtract NIT, right? So our fourth step is to convert or to find domestic income from GDP MP. And our last step is to find national income. So if you add NFI to your domestic income, that is NDP at FC, we get national income. Now remember, in the value added method, the first thing is to find out GVO, right? And then GVA at MP. In the income method, our first step is to find NDP at FC, and the formula is COE plus OS plus MI, right? Likewise, in the expenditure method, we have to find GDP MP at any cost. Okay, you have to find GDP MP at any cost. After that, you can convert this GDP at MP to anything. Okay, so our national income is nothing, it's your consumption expenditure made by the private sector and non-profit institution serving household, investment expenditure done by both private and government sector, government expenditure on the purchase of goods and services, and your net export, right? Or we can say your national income is equal to PFCE, GDCF plus GFCE plus your export, net export, minus depreciation, minus NIT, and plus NFIA. Okay, so this is how national income are estimated in the expenditure method. Now let us solve some question. In this question, you have to find national income, that is NNP at FC, right? Okay, the value of GFC is given, PFC is given, right? GDCF is given, and net export is given. Then it's a very easy one. Now, like I said, in the expenditure method, what we are going to do, we are going to find out the value of GDP at any cost, right? GDP at MP. So find out this value at any cost. And the formula is, we know the PFCE, right? Plus GFCE plus GDCF plus net export, right? Okay, here's a formula. Put the value of all this expenditure, and then you'll get the answer, 9,100 crore. Your GDP at MP is 9,100 crore. Now to find national income, we have to convert GDP at MP to national income. So to convert domestic to national, we have to add NFIA, right? Gross to net, we have to subtract depreciation, and MP to FC, we have to subtract NIT, right? So put the value, and you get the answer, 8,780 crores. Next question, you have to find domestic income. Okay, PFC is given, GFC is given, GDFCF is given, increase in stock is given, export, import, depreciation, all are given. Now it's a very easy one. What you have to find? Domestic income, that is your NDP at FC, right? Okay, now let us start a calculation. Now, like I have mentioned earlier, what we are going to do, we are going to find the value of GDP MP, right? At any cost, we have to find the value of GDP MP, and the formula of GDP MP is PFCE plus GFCE plus GDCF plus net export, right? Okay, let us first find out GDP MP. Now in Roman number C, instead of GDCF, what is given here? GDFCF is given. So what we are going to do, we are going to convert this GDFCF to GDCF. And what is the formula for that? We have to add change in stock to our GDFCF to get GDCF. Okay, so here I'm adding the value of GDCF is 1000, right? So 1000 plus change in stock, increase in stock is your change in stock, plus 200. Okay, now you do the summation and subtraction, you get 27,500 crore as your GDP MP. Now to find domestic income, what we are going to do, we are going to subtract depreciation because we are converting gross to net, right? And MP to FC. For that reason, we have to subtract minus NIT. So you put the value and you get the answer to 26,900 crores. So this is how national income or the calculation are done in your expenditure method.